All right, my beautiful friends, this is another video that we are bringing to you amidst our stable in uncertainty, immersive in Dear Darling, where we are doing the work to change our relationship with uncertainty, because uncertainty and adversity, unfortunately, is an inevitable and ongoing constant part of being a doctor. It will always exist in medicine. And while we are busy trying to find the right answers and trying to do the right thing and trying to perfect the world around us, we are ignoring the fact that we can never fix the uncertainty in the world. And instead, the work that we do in Dear Darling, in being unshakable, is more about being the kind of person who shows up the way you want to show up in that uncertainty and adversity. And being the kind of person who is unshakable in the challenge of uncertainty and adversity. That is our work, and it is so worthwhile, especially for doctors who have been conditioned. We've been taught implicitly and explicitly over our lifetime through being successful in schooling and then funneling ourselves into healthcare, and in the healthcare system and culture, most of us have developed this unhealthy relationship with uncertainty, which is dressed up in, a pretty diligent, well-meaning sentiment of, I just want to find the right answer. And it has us doing things like over-preparing, outsourcing our authority, seeking validation from other people, and just counting ourselves out of opportunities because we don't know the right thing to do because we can't find this right answer yet. When the truth is, and this is some of the work that we do in the initial weeks in the Uncertainty Immersive in Dear Darling, reconnecting with the truth of the world, which is, even in medicine, there is always going to be uncertainty, and there is seldom a right answer. I know, maybe statistically, population-based, with our evidence-based research, there are right answers. But at the end of the day, you're still dealing with a unique, individual, unpredictable, patient human in front of you. And not only that, but you yourself are a human too in this complicated relationship. You're not a robot either. And then we're working in a healthcare system, this relationship that we have between us and the patient and our team within a greater healthcare system. That means, again, uncertainty and adversity is inescapable. In this video, I want to point out one of the uncertainty self-sabotaging cycles that I see show up again and again and again in the coaching work that our members and my clients bring to us. There are two outcomes of this cycle when we don't have a good relationship with uncertainty. One of the outcomes is we simply spin in indecision, and with that we stagnate. And another result that being in this cycle creates is the urge to exit the cycle, right? Get out of this indecision and stagnation by making validation-based decisions, as opposed to what we retrain in Dear Darling, which is the only way to really make a right decision, which is values-based decisions. And if you're just listening to the audio, I put right, my little peace sign quotation marks here, because apparently there's a version of right that everybody agrees on that's somehow validated. And then the version of right that I am really talking about here when I say there's only one right decision is the decision that we like. It's a decision with reasons that we like. That's why I call it a values-based decision. All right, let's talk about this cycle. So, first, we make a decision. Then there is some action taking. After the action taking, there is now a variable period of time in which we are expecting to get results, some kind of feedback, some kind of reassurance or validation that the action that we're taking, the investment that we're making in this decision is actually yielding the result, the return that we want. And in this cycle, we're looking at what happens when you're action taking and you're not getting that result. You're not getting that reassurance. You're not getting that feedback. You're not getting that validation. Right? And from that place, the next step in the cycle is we then make it mean, this must be the wrong decision, right? Because I haven't got the result yet. I haven't got the reassurance. I haven't got the feedback. I haven't got validation yet. So this must be the wrong decision. And from there, of course, when our brain has made the judgment that we've made the wrong decision, we're going down the wrong path, then we end up back at the top of the cycle, making a new decision. And we continue spinning in this cycle. as long as we're making decisions that don't give us that result, that validation, that feedback, that reassurance within our arbitrarily made up timeline that we'll often set. You go to the gym for a month and you'll be like, well, I should have results by now. If I haven't got results after 1 month, then this must be the wrong decision. Well, I've sat this exam once now. Well, I've applied for this job, this role once now. And because I didn't get the job the first time I applied it, that must mean this is a wrong decision. I shouldn't be doing that. Let's make a new decision, right? We set these arbitrary quantities of reps and timelines and iterations of whatever our decision is. And we treat those arbitrary, made up guesses, expectations of returning a result as if they are true, as if they are fact. And that has us stuck in this cycle of continuously making decisions and abandoning decisions, making decisions and abandoning decisions. And what this means is we take 1 step forwards and 1 step back, and 1 step forwards and 1 step back. And we never actually put ourselves in the situation where we give enough of an investment to see, just with that gym example again, 'cause it's just so easy to comprehend. We never actually get to see, does this gym class actually create the results for me? Does this gym class actually give me what I want? If you go for just 1 month, you're not actually getting enough information to answer that question. If you go for 3 months, maybe now you get enough information. But maybe it's 1 year. Maybe you need to go for 1 year to get enough information to answer those questions. But here's the problem. Because of our intolerance of uncertainty, we are unwilling to wait. We are unwilling to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and persist in that uncertainty because uncertainty is so uncomfortable for us. Now, this next result that we accidentally create when we have an intolerance of uncertainty is to exit this cycle when we get sick of being in uncertainty because it's so uncomfortable for us, or we get sick of seeing ourselves remake the decision again and again and again. What we resort to is then making a validation-based decision, right? If we crowdsource at the start from some kind of apparent authority or a majority of people, or even just like, a particular person in your life or a couple of people in your life, your family, your friends, whatever. If you get validation from somebody else or some other source in your life that the decision is a good decision, that they agree with it, then that can be enough to satisfy that validation before you even started this cycle, right? And that could be enough reason for us sometimes to persist down that path with that decision, right? Because we've already got validation in advance that that decision is a quote, good decision. So we kind of hijack this system, we kind of outsmart this little cycle because we recognize that we can sort of artificially create certainty for ourselves here. And while that might help us stopping going back and forth on our decisions, it sort of solves that behavioral problem that we see in ourselves. It creates a new problem that can be really hard to see until after the fact, when we've done all the work, when we've made this enormous investment and used up all this time and opportunity in our lives. And that is, we've made decisions based on what other people think and what other people agree with, instead of the alternative that I want you guys to be doing, which is value-based decisions. Validation-based decisions feel good in the short term. They give you that sense of certainty and reassurance, right? It helps you to not have to feel like you're sitting in uncertainty. It helps you to feel safe and secure in your decisions as you're taking the action. It helps you to feel confident to continue to invest. But the problem is, often at the end of that investment, once you achieve whatever you want to achieve, it feels empty because it's not the decision that you wanted to make. It's not a decision that actually fulfills you or suits you, that's important to you. So if you keep your intolerance of uncertainty, if you don't develop a better relationship with uncertainty, which is something that we do together in Dare Darling, in our coaching in Dare Darling, you can end up in either two of these traps of being stuck in the spiral of indecision, remaking decisions over and over again, starting and stopping, being on the wagon and off the wagon, taking 1 step forwards and 1 step back, and 1 step forwards and 1 step back forever. And you can easily subconsciously escape this cycle by resorting to validation-based decisions, which sometimes can work out for you, sure, but for the most part end up having us put in all this work and effort and investment, but end up unfulfilled at the end. Well, the answer is not validation-based decisions, but actually value-based decisions. And that is something that we develop the skill of in Dare Darling. It's a lot. It's not a simple thing. It sounds like it's this beautiful, wonderful thing, but it requires us to be able to separate ourselves from this sense of what is right that we've all learned as doctors over the years, this kind of societally accepted and collective expectations of what we should do with our lives. And then also to separate ourselves from just being in the norm and being with the crowd and doing what everybody else is doing. But the most common regret of the dying is, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself rather than the one that others expected of me. And so as much as it might feel scary and as much as it might be uncomfortable on the path, it is absolutely worth doing. And I think the best way to do it is alongside a group of women who are boldly, audaciously doing the work too, asking for more from their life because they've decided they respect themselves enough to go and get it. Will you join them? I highly recommend it. Links to Dare Darling are down below, and I'll see you guys in our next one.